memorized that song, didn't I? Back to the Future. I'm going to jail now. Wow, boy, grand entrance, right? Boy, I'm going to jail now using both songs that were obviously with movies. Yeah. Well, it's good seeing everybody. Can't wait to do this program. It's kind of an interesting, unique way of looking at safety. Really, when we're looking at safety, I like to talk, and I've said this before, I like to talk about specific regulations, covering stuff, and it's kind of tough. I understand that you guys have heard me talk every single month about something, and I look at it from a perspective and go, what am I going to talk about this month that I didn't talk about last month? Yeah, you have to have certain regulations you talk about, and you guys are always very polite to me. Every single month you let me come in and talk about my spiel, and this one will be a pretty short one. But I think right now, more than ever, we really need to bond together as brothers and sisters. I really don't want to bring up something that I know that you're probably healing with. And that is the loss of 2 officers, and then obviously over in the utility line department, there, the incident that happened over there. To the untrained eye, most people, they don't think about the impact that losing one person. What's that?
I don't think any of us knew about it.
Okay, yeah. Todd had lost his son. Yeah. To the untrained eye, we just think that, okay, we know death is a part of life, and you lost your 2 officers. I knew Tony very well. When he was with Massillon, I was with Jackson Township Police Department. We didn't go out and have lunch or whatever, but with police officers, we connect and we meet up from time to time. My memories of him were very fond, and it was a wonderful officer. And then I knew he transferred down here. And the other officer, I knew of him, but I never really had a conversation with him. But most people can understand, and you probably could see the outpouring of love. I was in that procession with my cruiser, and I've been through some other processions too. That was an unbelievable procession. The other thing that I noticed is the outpouring of love from all of the employees, because I saw you guys' faces out there, but also the civilians that were out there, that were supporting. We sometimes think that people really don't care about what's right and what's wrong, and that we're just kind of going on this downward spiral. But that certainly wasn't the case in Westerville, and at least from my perspective, I can say that as somebody who doesn't live in Westerville. Amazingly enough, and we know this, we are probably at our best when things are at their worst. The last time that I could see that on a major scale, and I think I shared with you about being there, and this is what happened in 9/11. You could not drive down the street without seeing every 4th or 5th car with an American flag sticking out of it, and mine was one of them. I'm a very proud American. I take that very seriously. And I'm very, very much, we were just talking about this morning about our constitutional rights. And I don't mean to open up any wounds, and some of you guys may be pretty good with this, but others, it impacts everybody. If one of us falls, it impacts everybody. And what better time to pull that together than taking a look at it with our unit about the importance of our relationships. I've said it before, but it's true. I could spew out regulations, and that would be extremely rude and inappropriate of me. You guys are really experts in the fields. I mean that. And you know about safety. But yet you let me come every single month, and you're polite, and you let me talk, and I truly, from the bottom of my heart, appreciate that. I've said before that I want to replace the word regulation with relationships, because after all, if you just have regulations, you can just put that all up in a book. I can put regulations in a book and say, oh yeah, we got safety, we got regulations. But the true indications of a good, true safety culture is the relationships that groups have. And I know you guys get it. And that's the angle that I want to talk about today. As we go in the year, certain things, we got to talk about bloodborne pathogens, lockout, tag out, all those things. But I think right now, more than ever, especially with this untimely things that have been happening in Westerville. And actually, it seems with the municipals that I'm going around, all of them are experiencing the same type of dynamic that every city's happening right now. But it's a very turbulent time. So what I want to talk to you about is the correlation between race car drivers and construction workers. And you guys fall under the construction industry. Truth be told, I really don't follow sports like football, basketball, or baseball or anything. Now, my wife and I will watch the Super Bowl, but when one team gets a touchdown, we go, yeah, and the other team gets a touchdown, we go, yeah, because we really don't follow any teams, so we really can't tell you who we think is the best team. We kind of watch it for the commercials and the halftime show. Did you like the halftime show this year?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. You like Justin Bieber?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
Oh,
Really wasn't
Bieber,
Justin.
though.
Yeah, it wasn't Justin Bieber. It's Justin Timberlake. There was a trick question. Yeah, you got it. Sorry. Sometimes on the weekend, if I have some time off, I'll be flipping through the channels, and you're kind of looking for something, and you really don't know, and all of a sudden, I'll guarantee you this, all of a sudden you pop up on a race car game. I don't know, the track. They're competing around the track. Now, I don't really follow race cars. I don't follow the cups that they have. But I guarantee you this: if you watch them go around the track 4 times, you're stuck. Like if I'll just watch it a little bit, and I'm just watching how they're competing, and I watch how there's an art to that, there's a science. I'm stuck, and I'll have to watch to see who's going to get the checkered flag. This was about 4 months ago. I was watching, and it was a repeat of an old race. And it hit me that once the guy got the checkered flag, and he got out of his car, and there are women that participate in races too. It wasn't just him. He was standing up there with a cup, and they're spraying champagne all over him. But all of the people that were behind him that supported him to get to first place. And then it hit me. I'm starting to think, well, all the way back, how many people here would like to be a race car driver? Okay, that would be cool, right? And you know what? Where do you apply for something like that? Is there's like, you look in the Help One ads. We're looking for a race car driver. That's not going to happen. And you can't just out of the blue go, I want to be a race car driver, and then I'm going to go to a knock on the door of sponsors and saying, thank you. I want you to give me about $20 million and sponsor me so I can get a car and all of this crew and everything. Because, well, what's your background? What experience do you have? Nothing. Well, you're probably not going to get that sponsorship. Somebody really has to have a background. They already have to be well seated. I mean, and even have some races behind them so that they go, well, you know what? You look like a pretty good candidate, and move from there. So even they're involved. The family that supports you while you're going to these races and traveling, they're involved. Your friends are involved. Your crew that keeps that car on the road, they're involved. So if you win, all of these people behind you could be in the hundreds win. And that's when it kind of clicked with me about one person committing into safety and making safety the goal. And I'm going to show the correlation. At the end of it, hopefully, you'll see this collaboration that I say when we talk about race car drivers and you, the construction worker. Now, when we break it down, essentially a 5-star race car driver, and they must be 5 stars, there's certain things that they have to have congruent, they have in place before they can go, yeah, I am a competitor. It's not just the fact that they love driving. They make their living by competing in motor races against their rivals, and this is a sport which demands unbelievable professionalism and excellence. And trust me, before they get there, I'll guarantee you they failed and fallen on their faces and failed demonstratively and even had crashes, but they get up and keep doing it anyway. And this is one of those things you better learn from your mistakes, because you'll crash and burn, literally. So I want to take you back a little bit in history and talk about these cars and what they wore. And in the 1950s, race car drivers' deaths were just part of the dangerous sport. They were basically tin cans. They didn't have the crimple points that we have here and all of the roll cage inside of it. They didn't even have airbags. So you remember back in the day, and I had a little Triumph, an old Triumph, that didn't come with seat belts. Anybody remember cars with no seat belts? Matter of fact, my grandpa had this old car. I think it was a Buick. And we would stand in the back there. There was no seat belts in there. And we're all 3 standing up there. We could stand up, and we were big enough to stand up there. And the place was huge. You could camp in the back of this car. And we're just having fun, and he would turn the corner real fast, and we'd all fall over and clunk our heads, and we'd get back up and dance, and he'd turn the other corner this way, and we thought that was hilarious. There were no seat belts then. Even you look at the clothes that they wore, they weren't designed to take on flame. They didn't have helmets. They just had goggles to keep the gas and the oil and particulates from going in their eyes. But we've evolved in the 21st century with better car safety, personal equipment, with few deaths and health problems on the track. We got to go back in time and place to really take a look at one horrible event, widely considered to be the worst accident amongst them in the 1955 crash at Le Mans that killed driver Pierre Levy and approximately 80 spectators, with over 100 being injured in total. And when you take a look at what this guy's wearing here, that was it. You take a person like that side by side and what they wear nowadays, and you would, if you could take them back in place in time, they'd go, why do you wear that? We would look back at them and go, why in the world weren't you? This was a horrific, and they started taking a look at, well, what are we going to do? Even if some of the places where they're driving around, you know, running into the wall, running into trees, running off, and they just basically left, whatever happens, happens. It's just kind of part of the job. Kind of like what they did in construction back in the day. You know, if you die, it's just part of the job. If you fall from a bridge or building, a tall building, it's just part of the job. We'll just find another monkey to take your place and do the job. But we've come leaps and bounds in the 21st century. Cars, equipment, communications in the cars. Even the walls that they run into give way. This is where we've gone to. I get chills every time I watch that. Did you get chills?
I just wanted to drive fast.
You just want to drive fast? Now, I could see you in a car like that. Wouldn't that be exciting? Somebody.
I'll fit in a car like that, but
No, don't. Yeah, I bet you. I mean, well, I have not been in a race car like that. I have a couple sports cars, but I don't go that fast. And I would. What's that? No, I mean, I like to accelerate, but I mean, I have to follow the law. The laws out there that we are supposed to follow. But wouldn't it be great if you could get out there just once and just kind of drive around the track? And like you said, it's hard even for a lean person to get in there and configure all of the safety equipment that's in there. And once you really look, I don't know if have you ever looked at a car? The stock cars and stuff, the safety equipment they have in there is just unbelievable. That's the reason why when they roll over, a lot of them walk out with, other than a little bit banging and a headache from spinning around, they get out pretty much okay. So we've come leaps and bounds with our safety application with this. Now, to talk about all the different cars out there that race could take me about an hour, but the two that I was watching this, and I really fell in love with them, were these Sprint Cup cars. They weigh about 3,400 pounds. They have a wheelbase of exactly 110 inches, and the engine is a 358 cubic inch V8, generating over 750 to 800 horsepower. And this day and age, you can pretty much go to any car dealership and say you want some type of a sports car, and they can give you as much horsepower as you want. You know, does it go fast? Well, yeah, but it's not how fast it goes, it's how can you control the speed, and are you doing it safely? Almost everything has the potential to go full out from 0 to 10. Even some of the tools we use, like chainsaws, those things will go 0 to 10. But just because it can go there doesn't mean I should be using one if I'm not trained to use it. They also have fenders allowing side-to-side contact between multiple cars on the track. These are the big ones. These are the big daddies. I love to watch these things go. These top fuel dragsters, and when I started doing a little bit of research on them, I was really blown away of the experience. If you watched the beginning video I showed you when you guys were coming in, there was one dragster, it took off, and the nose of it lifted up, and it hit an air pocket, and the whole dragster took off like a jet and went 8 feet in the air, and that's when it collapsed because they're not supposed to fly. I mean, supposed to stay on the ground. They're called diggers, among the fastest acceleration machines in the world. These cars can cover the drag strip in less than 3.8 seconds. And in that 3 seconds, they will get upwards of 325 miles per hour. That is a tremendous amount of G-forces. They can get up to 5.8 to 6 Gs.
Hey, last week ago, John Forrest's daughter had a wreck, and they said when she hit the guardrail, it was 10 G.
Yeah, that's because of that sudden impact. Yeah, that's how's she doing?
She raced this weekend. That's amazing. The
Wow.
safety.
Oh, I know.
It was 10 G when she.
In Le Mans, they would have buried them in the car.
Yeah.
They were just tin cans. Yeah, that's pretty amazing. So like I said, I don't really follow racings, but I'm looking at this, I'm going, wow, what if we could apply this to other things? And that's really what I'm looking at here is when the only thing that's comparable to a 5.8 to a 6G is if you're in an F-18 and they do a technique called an emblem, which is they turn sideways and they hit the thrusters and they curve around, and that can produce upwards of 5.5 Gs. And most people pass out. And I'll show you the correlation between. I'm going to actually put you in the cockpit of a dragster. You can see these people, what they do. The top fuel cars are 25 feet long, weigh about 2,320 pounds. That's light for as much engine that's in there. And in race-ready trim, methanol fuel mixture with up to 90% nitromethane is used. And this is, they have any leak or whatever, and that's the reason why a lot of these things ignite and catch on fire and explode. So when we look at these race car drivers, nobody can debate they need ultimate concentration, especially all the way up to when they get ready to race. When you look at the race that they're going around, I mean, they obviously have to make sure they protect themselves amongst things and really have their situational awareness. So these dragsters, just a slight little bit of turn on that steering wheel will take you off of your track. I mean, it's not just hit the gate. They really have to focus in on what they're doing. Nobody can debate the importance of having physical fitness. And some of these race car drivers, just like motorcycles, we talked about motorcycles, they'll lose in a race about 6 to 10 pounds of water retention. They're constantly working with their technique skills, and they must be fearless. Defense against crashes and teamwork. Once again, where would you be without your pit crew? Some of these pit crews can come in and change tires within 3.3 seconds. And I'm going to show you that. It's a Ferrari. They come in, and in 3 seconds, forget the 0.3, 3 seconds, they're done. I mean, that pit is done. I wish I could get my oil changed that quick. Let me put you in the cockpit and show you these physical demands of these racing. And I'll show it to you 5 times so we can go right down the road. First off, I'm going to show you how fast it sucks up this fuel. I mean, it goes from full to E by the end of this race. So we have these gauges I'm going to take you across. Now this is in kilometers, but this is about the 325 mile per hour mark. So we're now at 3/4 of a tank. Watch what happens here. They're empty. Look at the G's, under 6 G's. We're at about 328 miles per hour on this dragster here. And look at that RPM just basically red line out. Now, if they were not in good physical shape, they'd be passed out by now. I mean, the G-forces that hit you, and we've shown you stuff like this.
Stay tight, stay tight, stay tight, stay tight.
That was 5.4 Gs.
Hello?
Imagine him, he's at the end of the track now. He hasn't pulled his chute. He's still out.
Hello?
Dragster's still going down the roadway. He's now at the end of the drag strip.
Hello?
And now he's hit the wall.
Put your head up. Put your head up.
Same amount of Gs. And that's just in a simulator, thank God it's not in a jet. So that's exactly what they're experiencing in a dragster. So when we look at a 5-star employee, construction worker, concentration is a must, especially when we're doing a very dangerous job task or some of the environments that we may be in that are dangerous. Physical fitness, although we don't have to be as physically fit to drive these dragsters, nobody can debate. We got to take care of ourselves and make sure that we're feeling good. You all have very physically demanding jobs. Constantly honing our techniques and skills in performing the job task. This is a no-brainer. We're better equipped when we have a team looking behind us against defense against injuries and accidents. When we may not see something or our situational awareness isn't intact, we need to speak up. When we're out in the roadway doing something, we need to make sure that we protect ourselves against those people that aren't focusing in on the fact that you're out by roadway or on roadway. And teamwork. Nobody can debate the importance of teamwork in any setting. The better your team is, the better equipped that you're going to do to win the race. Our winning the race is our life. The application of safety culture. So 5-star employees, they're well trained, they're strong, they're committed, they're successful, and they're proud of what they do. Nobody wants to go home at the end of the day saying, I screwed everything up. We want to be proud of what we do. And because of that, you become a valuable person. Nobody wants to lose that type of person and then have to start right from the beginning to get a person of good quality work like you, having a good quality worker. And I believe that every employee would like to be a 5-star employee, just like somebody would like to be a 5-star race car driver. So safety is not just one person's job. I want to take you and watch this pit crew, how quickly this pit crew gets this guy in and out. And you'll see it's about 3.3 seconds. Now granted, there's about 20 guys here. They can even hydrate the driver too. They can get a quick drink too. 1001, 1002, 1003. Watch how fast that is again. That's quick. They can even go in and give him a little drink if he wants something to drink. So he pulls in. They're engaged right there. Like I said, I wish I could get an oil change that quick. So look at that pit. That's a pit stop. I mean, the race isn't over yet, but that's a pit stop, and they need to evaluate something. If something's wrong, I've even watched them pull pieces of a part of the car's loose and pull it off and get them going. It's a pit stop. We just kind of stop and take a look at things, change some things up, add some things, remove some things. Nobody could debate the importance of that pit stop. In order for that person to win that race, and sometimes they have to top things up. How do you guys have pit stops with what you do? Do you guys perform a pit stop? And if so, what would a pit stop look like for you guys while you're carrying out your job duties?
Water break,
That's a very important,
snack, lunch.
that's an important piece of the equation. Water breaks, especially as we get ready to go into the warmer months. What do you do as a pit stop?
Me?
Yeah.
Check vehicle, for equipment, basically a pit stop, making sure you got the tools for your job.
Do you guys perform a pit stop before you go out and actually carry out that was pretty good, right? You gave him a thumbs up? Yeah. Do you guys perform a pit stop before you go out and perform a really dangerous job task? What's that called?
I just gotta make sure you have all your safety equipment fine.
That's a tailgate meeting. Yeah, it's a tailgate meeting. It's also,
Job.
yep. Now some people love to label things something very JSA, job safety analysis. When you start, but that's really what you're doing. I'd much rather come down with guys and go, okay, what's the danger? How are we going to keep ourselves safe? Than trying to label something. You're going to get more out of it when you pull your people together and go, okay, it's going to be hot today, so make sure you hydrate. We're going to be out in the roadway, so get your reflectability. We're probably going to be impeding on one of the lanes, so we may have to consider having some type of traffic control device. We're going to be using tools, so what type of PPE will we need when we're using those tools? All of those things that we can do is having a pit stop. Now most professionals and even firefighters use this right here. It's called CAN. And it's simple. Conditions, actions, and needs. I like things that are simple. What are the dangerous conditions that we are going to be going into? What are the actions required to eliminate it, or if not, turn the volume switch down, and that's what would consider using our PPE. But then what are the needs? Do we have everything? Good, get it. But if we don't, we may need to consider maybe abating certain things or making sure we put those things in place. It all comes down to this. It's about our values. We all know that they're the primary concern to all people and are central to every minute of every days of our lives, regardless of those values are this low or this high. And this is the big ones. But the ones that really hit safety is honesty, confidence, respect, and courage. Imagine if we put those on a daily basis in our pit stops. To be able to speak up, to talk about things, the courage, the bravery to speak something, and being honest with ourselves. And I think sometimes that honesty with ourselves, when we know we're taking a shortcut in safety, if we're honest with ourselves, will we allow our kids to do the same things that we do? And there have been some times over my life, if I look at something, it's like if I looked over and saw my son doing it, you can't say that we're bulletproof. So values and a high value standard are essential to outstanding performance and success in our safety. So the takeaway from this week, if you feel so bold to do it, and we all, including myself, need to do this, depending on what we're doing, what hat we're wearing, is what is your attitude towards safety? Is it a necessary evil? Is the safety something that we do on a regular basis because it's my insurance policy, it's my retirement plan, and it really is. No different than if you have a retirement plan financially. You taking care of yourself is your plan so that you can enjoy your retirement. But do your actions reflect that steady awareness? Is it on a constant steady up, or is it like this? And I'm going to show you the difference between the two. So remember, as you're engaging, supporting, or changing, people support what they create, not what somebody outside says you should do. Somebody can come in and preach and go, this is a good idea, but when you create that culture and you create that constant upward trend, what you're going to do is you're going to support it. Now, I know this isn't Westerville, but a lot of people in companies in corporate America, when I've done training for them, even the employees will say, and some companies I go there 4 times a year and I talk to them about safety, and they go, we like seeing you, it's nice, you seem like a nice guy, we really don't know you. But the way we feel about our company does is just to cover their butts. I go, what do you mean? They're just having safety. They go, well, you don't need your company to tell you to work safe. You can do that safety culture too. But a lot of places and companies, and even some municipals, they don't really think about safety. If it's not broken, don't fix it. Why do we have to talk about or work with safety? Safety's common sense. Well, if it was, then we wouldn't have so many people getting injured when you don't have a good culture. When you just leave safety up and just just figure it out yourself, that's when you have these numbers go on the rise. So this is what most corporate America does. Everything's normal. We're green line. Don't talk about it. We don't, it's safety, doing safety stuff, getting more equipment. It's more expensive, pulling people off the road to sit down and talk about safety meetings and talk about safety. Well, we won't worry about something until it rears its ugly head. Well, when it does, you have an incident, accident, a fatality, or a fire. Oh my gosh, we stop. We have an incident. We start throwing money, time, and effort and awareness into this. We can never let this happen to John Doe ever again. Now they're on the reactionary gap. And sometimes we have no other choice but to be on a reactionary gap. But if we have a good safety culture, we have some things in place if something happens. But this is where most of the time people think about safety. And then all of a sudden, 3, 6, 9 months, a year goes by, we kind of forget what happened to John Doe. We kind of forget that what happened to him, the shortcut he took, maybe some shortcuts that we may take. Our near misses that are probably our leading indicators to what's going to happen in the future, we just kind of forget about those and we don't discuss those because they're not worth talking about. Until somebody gets injured and go, I had the same near miss. We forget about that. We start going down that complacency side. We go right back to normal and we just put safety in a box. It becomes routine until the next incident, and we go up and we do the same thing. There's never any forward trend, an upward trend to safety. A very wise man said, doing something and failing over and over and attempting to do the same thing over is lunacy. It's craziness. And you expecting the same result, a better result, it's not going to happen. Albert Einstein said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. I want to show you some of the equipment and the safety equipment in some of these cars and what they wear in these races.
We've been very fortunate over the last few years not to have a pro stock driver seriously injured while driving one of these cars, and the reason why is because of the mandates that NHRA has put on safety. For the drivers, it starts inside the cockpit with the seat. What they use now is a mandated pour-in seat. Now, it's flame-retardant material that wraps around and contours to the driver. The big thing is to keep the driver contained and supported, especially in the lower back and rib cage area upon an incident. Now, if you look up here, you'll see these restraints are padding alongside the head area. Now, this is 4 inches wide, which is significantly larger than the 1.5 inch pieces that used to go into place. These help dissipate impact and absorb it in a crash. Now, if you look at Jake Coughlin's car, he goes the extra mile. He's got some window netting across here, and he's got some carbon fiber panels that help keep him contained inside the car alongside a window net. The idea is the car starts rolling. You want everything kept inside, all the extremities to keep you safe. And talk about keeping you safe and in the seat. Now they use a 7-way harness in the Plan to Pro Stock. Keep the driver tight inside the car. You add that The fire suit, 15-layer fire suit. You got 5-layer gloves and shoes, head neck restraint, and the helmet. You can see that the Pro Stock car, a pretty safe place to drive these days.
He seemed pretty proud to show that off, didn't he? And he should be, right? But if you guys were being interviewed by somebody who had no clue what you guys did, what would be some of the things you'd brag about that you have in place? If we just take over the last 10 years, oh, we've come leaps and bounds to our safety application, even some of the equipment we use and tools. Over the last 10 years, if I was somebody that was doing an interview with you and going, so how has safety changed with you over the last 10 years? What are some of the new and improved things that you guys use?
Probably the safety lights in the truck, the LEDs. We used to just have like one big yellow.
Yeah, just flashing thing. You didn't really see it until you got back up there. I mean, you can see that stuff through the fog. Yeah, that's a big one. And I forgot about that. So I'm going to...
What we wear too.
Mm-hmm.
We used to just wear orange.
Yeah, lime green, that's very fashionable. I mean, look how fashionable he looks with his hoodie and lime green. What's that? Moving right along. What are some of the other things like the PPEs that we have that you think over the last 10 years we've been doing a lot better with? If I was a person that was interviewing you, just like this, and saying, hey, what are some of the things you guys have going for you over the last 10 years that you guys have in the line of safety? Could be vehicles, could be what you wear, the application, how you do things slightly differently. Anything come to mind? How about eye protection? Now, I'm kind of taking you back further than 10 years. I can remember in the 70s, eye protection, they looked like bug eyes. And wear them 3 or 4 days, they'd be scratched. And you couldn't see a thing through them. Now most of your eye protection, the ANSI Z87 rated eye protection, like I showed you, not only stop a .22 round at 50 feet, but it'll also, I have a pair that are 2 years old and they look brand new. And you'd have no problems wearing them to like a picnic or a gathering. What else do you think has changed over the last 10 years?
For us personally, we've switched to hydraulic tools versus electric
And-
in water break scenarios.
Yeah, and we sometimes, when the change happens, it becomes kind of routine, but you stop for a second and go, how's that made things better? We have evolved. And along with that evolution, I wonder what the next 10 years is going to bring us. You know, only we can decide. Along with that comes our safety application. So instead of being reactionary like most companies in corporate America, we have a daily work environment. This is when you get up in the morning and start driving to work, and this is when you come through the door at home. That's the way that I look at the daily work environment. Your travel there, that's part of it. All the way to where you sit down and go, oh gosh, I'm glad I'm at home right now. The goal for our safety cultural awareness isn't to just look at it, throw things at it when we're reactionary. It's an awareness level that steadily rises so that we take safety to new heights. And that's the goal with any good safety culture. So this is the plan. And it's a pretty simple one. Our common beliefs have to support this. And I know yours do. But remember, where you're at now in your safety didn't get that way overnight. You guys worked it to be that way. The goal with every incident is avoided by our action, and no job is worth getting hurt over. I have not seen in any job classification, oh, by the way, you're probably going to have a catastrophic overexertion injury. You're probably going to lose a finger, probably going to get an eye injury, so just sign up here at the bottom line. No, the goal is so that you stay safe. Every job will be done safely. Most important, we believe that safety is everyone's responsibility, and I am my brother and sister's keeper. So here's the intervention, very basic things. Stop an unsafe act before it leads to an incident or an illness. That's my choice, that's my decision. When I look at something and go, I know I could be doing this safer, we need to stop and replace an unsafe behavior with a good one. Help employees learn to make better choices about working safely. Supervisors, and we are all supervisors and ambassadors of safety. We are the supervisors of safety. Point out the unsafe behavior. Get the employee to acknowledge the unsafe behavior and get the employee to suggest proper safe behavior. What would be another option? Have the employee explain the risk of working unsafely and get the employee to agree that the gains were not worth the consequences. We can do that in that tailgate meeting because it's in all of our nature. If we look at something and go, to do it the safest way possible is going to take us a half an hour more. Now most people go, okay, do the half an hour more. That's smart, right? But what if it's Friday at 4 p.m. and you want to get home? You got things to do with your kid. Your kid's got to go to practice. I'm a parent. I know how that goes. Do we stay over and do that half an hour just to get the job done safely? And we know that we should. That's another half an hour out of our way. Well, how long does it take for a person to heal after an injury? Does a person ever heal at all? Or if there's a worse catastrophic event, there is no getting over that. So the action plan as we come to an end is pretty simple. Perform regular inspections of your facility. Do a walkthrough. You'll see things. They'll step out. You don't have to be an expert in the field to look at certain things that say we need, like trip fall hazards. Oh, they're in every workplace. Have open communication with each other and talk about safety. Open door policy with our safety investment. Right now is a real good time as we're getting ready to go into the warmer months and we do more stuff outside. More and more stuff. Look at our behaviors. What are the behaviors? Those are the leading indicators. What are our shortcuts? Those are the things, if they catch up to us, that's what's going to cause the injuries. Remember your job safety analysis and tailgate meetings, like you said, and do job briefings. At any time, every person here has the authority to shut a job down and say, wait a second, we got to do this, or we have this problem. The correction may take a minute. And once you get done with that pit stop, pull your team together, make sure you go back then and do the job safely. And in the end, when we go home and we're waving that checkered flag, and that's us going home at the end, we're finishing the day, winning the race, it's not just you that's winning it. You know, it's not just about you. We sometimes think it's just about you. No, it is your family, it is your extended family, it is your friends, it is your work family, and it's all this, the whole city that benefits from it. So thank you guys for allowing me to share this perspective. Stay safe, stay healthy. Remember, safety is contagious. Don't be afraid to spread it. Take care of yourself, be your brother's keeper, and have a safe day. Thank you so much.